The world is a little less bright.
Nah, we didn't have no Captain America today.
That's true.
But who do we have?
Uh,
Oh, wait, sorry, I didn't realize you were recording.
oh. That's okay. This is only your second time on the show.
We're not professionals.
We're not professionals at all.
We just make this.
You
We literally
usually-
We make this up as we go along.
You usually do a countdown before you start. But
No, because we're doing it raw now. We have like this cold open thing that we do.
We're like SNL.
What exactly? Where it just comes in and
when
it's
did you even
real,
start?
you know.
Yeah.
It's real. So welcome to the Swiftfilm show. I am not your host, Donovan Farnham. That is Husain that you hear, and
Welcome.
we also have special correspondent Aaron with us, joining us because Donovan could not join us because he's very, very sick, or just being a big baby about it and didn't want to go to the movies today.
Hello.
I'm thinking he went to go see Thor in 3D to see the 5 minutes of Captain America.
Oh, shit. That's probably it, actually, knowing Donovan. We did not see Thor in 3D. I actually saw Thor again today, but I did not see it in 3D. So what we did see, and what we're going to talk about, it's a movie. It actually didn't come out this weekend, so we're kind of breaking with convention of doing a newer movie, mainly because nothing that came out this weekend is worth seeing.
Nope.
So, you know, if you want to go to see the movies this weekend, now is a good weekend to catch up on a movie you might have missed. That's what we did. We saw Dallas Buyers Club.
Yeah.
Dallas Buyers Club, Matthew McConaughey, Jared Leto,
Jennifer
Gardner. I'm sure there are other actors in this movie, but honestly, the like level of like firepower brought by the leads in this movie kind of just washes everyone else away.
Yeah.
So this is basically a film about the AIDS epidemic in the early, it's set actually in the mid 80s. 1985 is when it starts, and then it runs through like the late 80s. It's basically about this guy who is a sort of a cowboy. He is a rodeo rider, an electrician.
And a homophobic.
Very homophobic. At first. Does a lot of drugs. Gets up to a lot of trouble.
Lots of unprotected sex.
Has lots of unprotected sex. And of course that leads him to getting AIDS. So rather than just sort of laying down and dying, he decides that he does a bunch of research. He finds out there's a lot of drugs around the world that have been shown possibly to help with AIDS.
But the FDA
has not approved them because they haven't gone through the long and arduous FDA approval process where they do human trials and they test the efficacy and they do, double-blind placebo tests and everything else. He says, fuck all that, goes to Mexico, finds an unscrupulous doctor and buys it and basically brings it back to the United States. First, just to save his own life, but then when he realizes that there's a market for it, he opens a buyer's club.
Cha-ching!
Where he charges people $400 a month to have access to as much AIDS drugs as they want, basically.
Yeah.
This is after he's lost his job because all of his work colleagues are very homophobic as well. And they think because he has AIDS, he must be secretly gay or something.
Yeah. Although, which is, very true of sort of the AIDS in the 80s. Is there was a lot of bad information out there. People didn't really know how you got AIDS. They didn't really understand if you were,
if it was by touch or...
Right, yeah. Like, there was a sense that you could get AIDS just from being in the same room as someone who had AIDS, which is obviously not the case. But, like I said, there's a lot of bad information, particularly in, Texas in the mid-'80s among, basically rednecks.
Yeah, this is a true story, too.
Yeah. It is, yeah. It's based off of an actual buyers club that operated in Texas. They actually operated all over because this is a common problem. There were no real treatments for AIDS. Meanwhile, AIDS was just killing everybody because it was
a giant epidemic.
Right, and it was a case of the system was coming up with cures, and obviously we have very good AIDS drugs now, but that's 20 years later.
Yeah.
And in the 80s, they were going through the system of trying to come up with a cure while people were dying.
A cure for something no one knew what
it did and how it acted. And, so they were going through the process, which could take years. Meanwhile, people were dying. And so the buyers clubs were a, answer to that question. So anyway, so that's the movie. I mean, what did you guys think of it?
I really liked it. I had a few problems. It felt really long near the end.
Yeah.
And it takes a while. The exposition in the beginning, and sometimes there was a little. That's a niggle though. But for the most part, it's really good, and performances are amazing.
I would say, I think you're right. I think it becomes a little unfocused toward the end. There's kind of a subplot. Well, I mean, it's the real, sort of dramatic plot of the movie. Is basically the FDA trying to shut this guy's, buyers club down because he's selling unrecognized drugs.
Yeah.
I thought it was really amazing. I thought the film was made really well. I thought the, sound mixing was really well. And, of course, it was really well acted from Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto in particular. I couldn't believe how much weight they all lost. And you totally couldn't tell Matthew McConaughey was Matthew McConaughey. He had lost so much weight, and he had this weird 80s hairdo and contacts in.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is not the man that, the tabloids would post shirtless pictures of, from 7 years ago. Total transformation.
Right.
It was amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely one of those movies that plays into the thing of, like, if you want to win an Oscar, you need to lose a lot of weight.
Lose weight, make yourself ugly, play a dying person.
And this one checks all three boxes, so I'm assuming that McConaughey is just a shoo-in for an Oscar this time around.
What about Leto? I thought he was really good too.
What's amazing is Matthew McConaughey is great, but Jared Leto swamps him.
It's true.
Just overtakes him.
And it's impressive because this is McConaughey has been on fire for the past year and a half, 2 years. You probably couldn't think of an actor that's delivered better performances than he has in some of his most recent movies.
There's Mud and Lincoln Lawyer and
and Jared Leto is a cut above that. As basically he plays this a transvestite that has AIDS that Matthew McConaughey meets in the hospital and is immediately repulsed by because he's kind of homophobic at the beginning of the movie. But once he decides he wants to, start a business selling AIDS drugs, he goes into business with Jared Leto's character because he knows the sort of gay community better, and they become business partners and later really good friends. And he's this sort of transvestite. But kind of a nice guy at the same time, but also a junkie, and it's a really compelling and sort of
a smart mouth kind of
a little bit of a smart mouth, but the sort of character where he's he's smart mouth, but it's because he's trying to hide how scared he is that he's dying of AIDS. So it's just a really complicated performance. There's a scene where he goes back and confronts his dad, and he's not dressed as a woman for the first time in the movie, and he tells his dad for the first time he has AIDS, and just sort of breaks down a little bit, and is there's this guy that's helped me, and I want to do something for him, it's a really powerful scene. Just an amazing performance. Is obviously McConaughey is probably a shoo-in for best actor. At least strong contention for Best Actor, but I can't really see anything that will top Jared Leto's performance, in Dallas Buyers Club.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he got Best Supporting Role or something this year. It was pretty awesome. Check the movie out just for that,
Yeah.
Even just when he's on screen, just his presence is amazing in the movie.
Yeah.
Just his looks, like the one scene in the grocery store when Matthew McConaughey saves him from his friend,
a former
friend. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because there's a couple different plot lines in this movie, and I mean one of them is obviously the battle against the sort of unfeeling FDA that's sort of fiddling while Rome burns and everyone with AIDS dies. But there's also the sort of Matthew McConaughey's character, Ron, just discovering his sort of compassion.
Yeah.
Because he starts out very very close-minded and sort of prejudiced against a lot of different people. And just because of his, the relationship he forms with Jared Leto's character, Rayon, and also just his own experiences as he's trying to, save his own life, he becomes a much more compassionate character, and so that's sort of the emotional heart of the story, as the battle against the FDA is sort of the conceptual and structural heart of what the story that's being told, and it's done very well because it's very subtle. It's when you're telling a story like that, it's tempting, I think, to want to do like the moment where the music swells and the character realizes the error of his ways.
Yeah.
And you don't get a moment like that. It just happens sort of subtly and naturally as the movie comes on.
Like in real life.
Exactly.
There's no hammer hitting you on the head.
Yeah, I thought there was a lot of naturalism in this movie. Even when they're revealing to their friends or finding out that they have AIDS, it's done in a really realistic manner, and like the music doesn't like cue up or anything, or they don't immediately break down or anything like that. It's just fairly realistic reactions.
I mean, what really makes this movie work is it's a movie that trusts its audience.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel the need, as so many Hollywood movies do, to just over telegraph everything that's happening in case like some idiot in the audience doesn't get it. You know what I mean? And not that there's anything that's like really like mind bendy or like hard to get.
It's not Inception.
It's not. This is not Inception, but the movie still seems like it trusts its audience to know why things are happening, what characters are feeling, and it trusts the actors, honestly, to get those things across. And thank God it does, because it makes for a much stronger movie and a much stronger performance when a filmmaker is that sort of assured of his story, I guess.
Yeah, and I think Aaron mentioned it. Even the details, like the makeup, like you see Matthew McConaughey slowly get healthier as the movie goes along, and Jared Leto's in the opposite direction.
Yeah. When they meet, like, McConaughey looks like he's basically moments away from death.
Yeah.
He's been given 30 days to live, and he is, confronted by Jared Leto, who's in drag makeup and looks fairly healthy.
Yeah.
But is in the hospital with him. And they seem to follow like opposite trajectories, because she keeps doing drugs.
Yeah.
Doing cocaine,
It's
even
ladies.
though the Mexican doctor that he found had told him, you need to stop doing drugs because that's just going to make it worse.
Well, also, he tells Rayon several times, knock it off. He's watching out for her, and, he's telling her to eat healthy, and once at the grocery store. It's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to, like, take care of her, and he's like, you need to, eat healthier, like, don't eat processed foods. You need to stop doing drugs, because it's like, the disease is killing you, but like you're helping it along by doing all these things. And meanwhile, he basically, swears off drugs, starts eating like organic food,
unprocessed food,
unprocessed foods, and like taking like all these vitamins, and like is fairly healthy, and I think ends up living another like 7 years or so, when he'd only been given like 30 days. It's just a good movie all around, and a real treat, for a movie that could be sort of emotionally, like sort of lazily emotionally manipulative, as a movie like this could be. To see it not go for those like easy moments and just sort of try to portray real life is really refreshing.
It's a biopic done right, almost.
It is, because it is based off of a true story.
Yeah.
And it's based off of, obviously, a, pretty tumultuous time, in American history. I mean, world history, really.
Yeah.
And it's so easy when you're doing that to just, fall back on the fact that you're doing an AIDS movie.
Or to get preachy, too.
Yeah, you either get preachy. I mean, this movie is a little preachy sometimes, I think, about the FDA.
True.
Because it's interesting, because they set up the FDA as kind of an evil organization.
And the pharmaceutical companies.
Which they are. They are, but at the same time, like, there's a reason we do double-blind studies. You know, it's not like it's they're doing it to be cruel. It's because, you know, that's the only way you can have effective drugs, really.
Yeah.
And you know, there's not really that much difference between what Ron's doing and what the pharmaceutical companies are doing. Because it's like they'd set up this dichotomy where it's like the pharmaceutical companies are like these greedy entities who are pushing this drug that doesn't really work, that's killing people, and then Ron is like pushing an alternative that he got from some disbarred medical practitioner in Mexico.
That's helping people.
That's helping people. But at the same time, they're both doing it to make money, at least at first. And towards the end, like Ron, like eventually decides that it's more important to help people than to make money, and like he sells his car to like let some people in who can't afford the treatment otherwise. But you know, it's he starts out obviously from this place that's not that much different from the pharmaceutical companies.
And it does sort of show why the pharmaceutical companies might be a bit leery of this guy. He's a bit of a firecracker, I guess you could say. He goes into a hospital and attacks a doctor he has beef with, who's in a clown costume, sort of in a children's
ward, yeah.
So,
that definitely. I mean, this is a strong go see it. I think from all of us.
Definitely,
it's great, and you know, we kind of hit on a little bit earlier the sort of Matthew McConaughey transformation.
What the hell?
What the hell has happened? Like,
this is the guy from The Wedding Planner and
right.
How to Kill Your Guy, not kill your guy. How to Dump Your Guy.
Yeah,
that's what it's called.
And Surfer Dude, and just a bunch of other like terrible movies. And it's like, late in his career, he has like gone into like a chrysalis and emerged as like a beautiful butterfly.
I hope it's not late in his career. I hope he goes on to do a lot of stuff.
Well, no, I mean, he's going to be, but it's like he's gone past the sort of phase where you're like an A-lister because of you know those sorts of movies that he was in.
Well, before he was just like the cutout like hot guy in these sort of really stupid chick comedies,
right.
And he's so much more.
But I mean,
than that
he's gone past the point where he can do that sort of role anymore. Like that's not going to be his role anymore in Hollywood. And he's shown just like this incredible like depth of acting talent.
Yeah, it's insane. It's
crazy because so many people don't do that when they they hit their shelf life for their heartthrob phase. You know, that's it. That's all they have.
Yeah.
But like McConaughey is like bringing it.
Yeah, he went and did some indie movies, and then he got The Lincoln Lawyer, which is maybe the start, and then he got The Mud, and then now this, and then there was a couple others, and now he's got The Wolf of Wall Street.
Right.
And he's nabbed the lead in Christopher Nolan's next movie.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty impressive, honestly. Like, because it's you know, Hollywood is a place where once you get a reputation for one thing, like it's difficult for people to see you as anything else.
Yeah.
And like at this point, like, you know, it's going to be tough to see Matthew McConaughey as anything but a serious actor after, you know, performances like this one.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like good actors, they're chameleons. They can sort of do it all, and I think maybe this is a guy who can do that. It just depends on how directors will see him.
Yeah, yeah. And I think he lucked into some very big roles at just the point in time when he needed to make that transformation.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, like, if he hadn't had a role like Mud, you know, or The Lincoln Lawyer, you know, for like 3 years, you know, that sort of gray area where he's not the heartthrob, so he's not going to get those roles anymore. But he hasn't had like a major, you know, dramatic role, so he's not going to get that role.
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy to sort of fall through the cracks that way. So he lucked into... I don't want to say lucked into, but he got the roles that he needed to get at exactly the time he needed to get them.
Someone gave him a chance.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, this Matthew McConaughey guy, there's something going on there that isn't a heartthrob who's trying to get with Jennifer Lopez.
Right. Right, exactly. So,
like, let's just forget, like, those things ever happened. I think we'll be happier. Everyone will be happier if we forget Jennifer Lopez ever made movies, but...
Yeah. Because she shows every indication of not making any more. which is good. And we need to encourage that by not talking about, like, Made in Manhattan.
The weird thing about Jennifer Lawrence, not Jennifer Lawrence, she's awesome. Jennifer Lopez, is that she's like the opposite of Matthew McConaughey. When she started, she was doing like some insane, crazy, like The Cell. Was it The Cell?
The Cell,
She would do like anything.
Although
movie.
I don't know if The Cell necessarily stretched her acting credibility.
No, but she was willing to do things
more out there roles.
And then she started falling into the chick flick actress.
Yeah.
What was that one she was in that had such a low rating? It started with like a G.
Geely.
Yeah,
that's the one she made with Ben Affleck, who is another like. So I guess like the common denominator here is Jennifer Lopez. Is like, you know, she met both of these actors at the lowest point in their career and convinced them that they didn't want to stay there, and so
Jennifer Lopez was their wake up call,
right?
Rock bottom.
That was their moment of clarity.
You know, what was also in a Jennifer Lopez rom com was Ralph Fiennes, who's also shot up after that.
we just need to bring Jennifer Lopez in to like reform crappy actors. Like,
whose career should we insert her in?
Yeah.
Like seriously, who needs to be revitalized or something?
I don't know.
That's a good question. I don't know. Christian Slater.
Christian Slater would be going. Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Like if Keanu Reeves could make a rom-com with like we might get like a remake of Citizen Kane. You know?
Although I don't know about his acting ability. He himself is like, oh, I'm not so good, but he seems like such a nice guy. I kind of like Keanu. He's not full of himself.
Well, he's got 47 Ronin coming out, which I don't think is going to win any Oscars, but I'm kind of excited about because it looks cool.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see if 47 Ronin is not good. We may need to bring in Jennifer Lopez.
Heavy artillery.
Yeah, bring in the heavy artillery to revitalize his career.
That's over the past 5 years, we've had a lot of careers revitalized, so that's why I don't think there's anyone left, because Robert Downey Jr. came back.
That's true, yeah.
And Ben Affleck, and now
McConaughey. Yeah, a lot of people counted out are just doing the best work of their career now.
It's good. Maybe Jennifer Lopez can do that herself.
No, it doesn't work on her. We've established this. Yeah. Anyway, so, talking a little bit about sort of, movies that are Oscar worthy. The last sort of fourth of the year.
Yeah.
The last 3 months of the year tends to be where Hollywood sticks all of its Oscar bait movies because they know that the Oscar voters have very, very short memories.
Yeah, tiny,
minuscule attention spans. Like, honestly, what they should do is before they do the voting is they should just all dose them with like Adderall, so that they can remember movies that happened before like October.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely Oscar bait movie season. So we're kind of neck deep in it now. I mean, what do you guys think about the movies that have been being shown right now? What is this crop looking like compared to last year, which was, keep in mind, was a pretty damn good movie year in film?
Yeah.
Refresh me what the movies were for last year.
Oh crap! Last year was Zero Dark 30. Django Unchained.
Yep.
Argo,
amazing.
Silver Linings Playbook,
right, which was surprisingly good.
Yeah, Les Miserables was in there. Quality, maybe, I don't know, but it was there in that.
Yeah, it was definitely. It was a strong year, and honestly, from where I'm sitting, this looks like another really strong year.
Yeah, it might be deeper because we got from the Oscar contenders. There's Captain Phillips. There's Gravity.
Right.
12 Years a Slave. The Butler's in there, even though we don't
even though it doesn't deserve to be there. But Oprah's attached, so we have to give him to him, right?
Dallas Buyers Club might be in there.
I would be shocked if Dallas Buyers Club doesn't get nominated for something.
Saving Mr. Banks is in there.
Saving Mr. Banks.
American Hustle.
Yes.
Wolf of Wall Street. So it looks like a good crop.
Yeah, and honestly...
And her.
Yeah. I would say also probably Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Oh,
maybe.
yes. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, possibly that one. I don't know, that one looks like it might not be very good, just going by my own...
but it looks so emotionally manipulative that it has to be
that
there.
it might be.
Also, like, throwing a couple things in there with flashy visuals and stuff, too.
Yeah, well, we've also got The Hobbit coming out.
That's always going to be.
Yeah, which is probably, it's Weta, so it's a shoo-in for all the effects awards. Except we have Gravity, so I don't know how that's going to go.
Weta might actually have some competition.
Yeah, that we might actually have a battle in the technical awards this year. But yeah, it's I would say last year was a really good year in film, but it was a really good year for a specific type of Hollywood film. I felt this year feels much more...
It's more balanced, maybe.
More balanced and more toward sort of the naturalist type movie, like a Dallas Buyers Club. It feels a little bit more textured and rich, I guess.
Yeah.
Some of the movies that we've seen this year.
Because there have been a lot of other movies, there's Spring Breakers, there's The Kings of Summer, The Spectacular Now, which are the smaller indies that are also really good and naturalistic.
Also, Place Behind the Pines was
the
beginning of the year, good. Which, I still think Place Behind the Pines is probably my pick for Best Actor.
Bradley Cooper?
Bradley Cooper is so amazing in that. That, it's hard to pick anything else. But that was February when that came out. So I don't know if it's actually going to get its due at the Academy Awards, because that's why you do it.
Yeah.
These people are functionally 13-year-olds with ADHD.
Do you think they watch TMZ?
Of course, they have to watch TMZ.
They read Deadline.
Yeah, they read Deadline Hollywood. They watch TMZ. You have to, because that's the world you're living in. We don't know that here because we live in Northern California, where it's tech all the time, which is another weird business.
Yeah, it's a whole different world. They're just as into sort of inane things, but it's a different type of inane.
Yeah. It's they always say people who live in California are a little woo out there, and it's true, but Northern California and Southern California are out there about different things.
Yeah.
It's a different brand of crazy.
And we'll get insulted if you confuse the two of us right
Yes. Yeah. Save your high-end sushi yoga stuff for the Southern California people,
Totally.
Us Northern California people are more about kale.
Kale and social media for gamification.
Yeah, and gamification, enterprise solutions, creating win-win paradigm shifts for B2B.
Everyone drives a Tesla out here.
God, everyone drives a Tesla. Tesla only sells maybe 3,000 of its cars a year. I think they're all here. I don't know if there's anyone else is buying Teslas.
We have 4 new dealerships going in within a 40-mile stretch. So yeah, it's probably here.
Yeah, yeah. But man, we do. We have 6 Tesla dealerships, and they're not real dealerships. You can't buy a car there. You go there, you look at the car, and they tell you go online and buy the car. Only in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting a little off topic here. So, Dallas Buyers Club, go see it. You can follow us online at swiftfilm.com for the words, on Twitter at Swiftfilm, Facebook.com/Swiftfilm,
YouTube.com/Swiftfilm
for our new video, our new occasional video podcasts, where we mostly talk about trailers.
Yes.
And
we also upload this there too, so you might be listening to us on YouTube.
Right. We've been putting these on YouTube. So if you want to look at a still while you hear our voices talk about the movie, go to YouTube.
I can get the Ken Burns effect in there.
You should start Ken Burnsing those, seriously. And you can also follow us on the iTunes podcast directory and on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
So those are all the things that Donovan normally says that I don't pay any attention to. So I'm very proud of myself that I got through them.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah. All right. So check back with us next week. We will be seeing what?
Hunger Games Catching Fire.
God, I'm excited for this movie. Honestly, the first Hunger Games was really good, and I like having a palate cleanser after a movie like Dallas Buyers Club. After watching people die of AIDS and like slowly waste away in the 1980s without proper medical care.
Now we can see a bunch of kids kill each other.
Yes, nothing gets me more psyched to watch children kill each other with bows and arrows than watching AIDS patients. So look forward to that next week.
Bye-bye.